The day I watched the Kralix battlecruiser get erased from existence in 47 seconds, I realized three things very quickly. 1. I was probably going to die. 2. Everyone I knew was probably going to die. And 3. The idiot responsible for waking up the humans definitely deserved to die first. But let me back up because you need context for the sheer, breathtaking stupidity of what happened. My name is Vekor, and 6 hours before the galaxy nearly ended, I was eating a sandwich. Not a good sandwich either. Station Gamma served food that tasted like recycled disappointment, but it was cheap and I was broke. And that is just how life works when you're a logistics coordinator nobody respects. I was sitting there, choking down processed protein paste shaped like bread, when my console started screaming. Not beeping, screaming. Red alerts, priority channels, emergency frequencies, all going off at once like someone had kicked a hornet nest made of panic. I dropped my sandwich, which honestly improved it, and pulled up the transmission that started everything. Military frequency, Kralix Dominion. Encrypted, except whoever encrypted it was apparently trained by concussed children because I cracked it in 90 seconds. What I saw made my blood turn to ice water. Strike team deployment, target coordinates, mission objective, raid and salvage. And then the target designation that made my heart stop, human archive, ship Mercy. I sat there staring at those words for a solid 10 seconds, while my brain tried very hard to process what kind of suicidal moron would wake up the humans. Then I started laughing because surely this was a joke. Some kind of elaborate prank. Maybe it was my birthday and I forgot. Except it was not a joke. The Kralix were actually, genuinely, seriously about to wake up humanity. Let me explain something about humans, because if you are hearing this story, you probably do not know the history. 300 years ago, humanity fought a war against themselves. Not a polite war, not a war with rules, a war that turned Earth into a graveyard and reduced their population from 8 billion to 400 million in 18 months. Nuclear fire, biological weapons, things that made radiation look friendly. When it ended, the survivors looked at what remained and made a choice that terrified every species in the galaxy. They did not rebuild. They did not try again. They built massive archive ships, loaded themselves into cryogenic sleep, and launched themselves into deep space with one simple message that got broadcasted to everyone. We are sleeping. We are dangerous. Do not wake us. We will wake ourselves when we are ready. And every species, even the violent ones, even the aggressive ones, they all looked at that message and thought, yeah, that sounds reasonable. Because any species capable of nearly exterminating itself and having the technology to do it efficiently was not something you wanted to provoke. The humans put themselves in timeout, and the galaxy breathed a sigh of relief. For 300 years, those archive ships drifted in deep space, far from trade routes and populated systems, protected by treaties signed by every major government, monitored by satellites programmed to scream if anyone got too close. Everyone agreed, leave them alone, let them sleep. Maybe in another 1,000 years they will wake up less murderous. But the Kralix Dominion, in their infinite wisdom, decided that rule did not apply to them. I grabbed my communicator with shaking hands and called my supervisor. Telmon was a Froxian with 4 eyes and the personality of expired yogurt, but he was smart and he would know what to do. Telmon, I said, trying to keep my voice from cracking. We have a situation that is going to kill us all. Pause. Vekor, it is your lunch break. What are you doing? Looking at a Kralix military transmission that says they are raiding a human archive ship in 6 hours. The silence that followed was beautiful. The kind of silence that happens when someone's entire worldview shatters like cheap glass. I could practically hear his brain melting through the communicator. They are doing what? His voice went up 3 octaves. Raiding. The humans. The sleeping. Incredibly dangerous. Please do not disturb humans. That is, he trailed off, probably trying to find a word strong enough. That is the stupidest thing I have ever heard in my entire life. I know. That violates every treaty we have. I know. That is going to start a war that ends civilization. I know. More silence. Then, quietly, almost reverently, he said, we are all going to die. Probably, yes. How long do we have? I checked the transmission again, hoping maybe I had misread it, hoping maybe it said 600 hours or 6,000 hours. Nope, still 6 hours. 6 hours until their strike team reaches the ship. Telmon made a sound like a dying engine. Okay. We need to warn everyone, right now. Every government, every military, every news network. Maybe someone can stop them. So we started sending messages, emergency broadcasts on every frequency we could access. And let me tell you, the response was immediate and unanimous. Complete, absolute, pants-wetting terror. Within 40 minutes, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. 40 minutes. That was a record. Usually it took them 3 days just to agree on what color the meeting room should be. I got to watch the whole thing on a live feed from my crummy station, surrounded by half-eaten sandwiches and cold coffee, watching 200 species lose their minds simultaneously. The chamber was chaos. Delegates screaming in 17 different languages, all saying variations of the same thing. We are doomed. Ambassador Pluthan of the Zervix Union, who looked like an angry starfish someone had given political power, slammed 3 of his appendages on his desk. Has anyone confirmed this intelligence? A voice from the back, shaky and terrified. Confirmed. Kralix battlecruiser Vengeance of Flames is en route to human archive ship Mercy. Arrival in 5 hours and 30 minutes. The chamber exploded. Not with debate, with raw panic. We have to stop them. Evacuate the sector. Evacuate the galaxy. We need to build a wall. We need to leave this dimension. Someone, I think it was a Velkaran delegate, actually fainted, just collapsed right there on camera. Nobody helped him, because everyone was too busy imagining their own deaths. Ambassador Vrel of the Tharn Collective, my people's representative, stood up. She was 8 feet of muscle and fangs and barely contained rage. When she spoke, everyone shut up. Listen to me. Panicking solves nothing. We have 5 hours. Can we reach them in time? A military officer looked like an oversized beetle with rank insignia, pulled up a tactical display. Lines and numbers and trajectories that all spelled out the same message. Our nearest fleet is 7 hours away. The humans deliberately chose coordinates in deep space, far from any major traffic. Nobody can reach them before the Kralix do. Then we contact the Kralix, Vrel said. Offer them whatever they want. Money, territory, ships, whatever makes them turn around. They tried. I watched 3 different ambassadors get on communication channels with the Kralix commander, a walking pile of muscles and bad decisions named Thrakor. They begged, they pleaded, they offered him things that would make him the richest being in the galaxy. Thrakor just laughed, actually laughed, like they had told him the funniest joke in history. You fear them because they destroyed themselves? That makes them weak. Easy prey. We take their technology. We become powerful. Simple. You do not understand, one ambassador pleaded. They are not weak. They are dangerous precisely because they nearly destroyed themselves. They know how to end things. Then they should have done a better job, Thrakor said, and cut the transmission. That was it. No negotiation, no compromise. Just one incredibly stupid species about to wake up, the one species everyone agreed should stay asleep. I should mention something about these archive ships. They were not just storage containers. Each one was a complete snapshot of human civilization. Art, music, history, genetic samples, cultural records, and about 10,000 humans in cryosleep, carefully selected representatives of their species. The ship the Kralix were targeting, Mercy, was special. I looked up the manifest during all this chaos. It carried military personnel, soldiers, tactical officers, weapons engineers, the kind of humans who specialized in making other things stop existing. Exactly the kind you do not want to wake up angry. 4 hours until contact. The council was still arguing about evacuation procedures and whether anyone had updated their will recently. I was stress-eating another terrible sandwich when my console beeped. Incoming message. Priority maximum. From the human archive ship, my sandwich hit the floor. My heart stopped. Pretty sure I forgot how to breathe. The message was simple, just text on a black screen. Automated defense systems have detected incoming hostile vessel. Protocols engaging. Do not be alarmed. We will handle this. I stared at that message. Read it again. Then again. Then I started laughing, high and hysterical, because of course the humans had automated defenses. Of course they did. They were paranoid enough to put themselves to sleep for centuries. Why would they not have contingency plans? I forwarded the message to the council, watched the live feed as they read it. The panic doubled, tripled. Someone started praying in a language I did not recognize, because automated defenses meant systems activating, which meant the ship waking up, which meant humans waking up, which meant we were about to witness something the galaxy had managed to avoid for 3 centuries. 3 hours until contact, visual confirmation came through from a monitoring satellite. The Kralix battlecruiser appeared on screen, massive and bristling with weapons, running hot toward the archive ship. The human vessel looked peaceful in comparison, all smooth curves and soft lines, like something built for comfort rather than combat. Then panels started opening along its hull. "Oh no," Telmon whispered beside me. He had teleported to my station an hour ago, too terrified to be alone. "Oh no, 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 no." Weapons emerged. Lots of weapons. Railguns the size of buildings. Missile pods that looked like they could crack planets. Energy cannons that glowed with barely contained power. Things I could not even identify. Exotic tech that made our best military hardware look like Stone Age tools. The archive ship had been disguised as a harmless sleeper vessel, but underneath, it was a fortress designed by a species that knew exactly how dangerous the universe could be. The Kralix did not slow down. Maybe Thrakor thought the humans were bluffing. Maybe he thought superior numbers would win. Maybe he was just that stupid. His ship opened fire first, plasma charges that would have melted through any normal military vessel's shields. The human ship's barriers flared blue, white, absorbed the impact like it was nothing, less than nothing, like swatting away an annoying insect. Then, the humans fired back. What happened next lasted 47 seconds. I know because I counted. When you are watching something that might be the end of everything, your brain does weird things like count seconds. The Kralix battlecruiser was state-of-the-art. Best weapons their species could build. Shields that could withstand sustained bombardment. Armor that could take nuclear strikes. It lasted 47 seconds. The human ship did not just defeat them. Did not just destroy them. It erased them. Turned a 2-kilometer warship into expanding clouds of superheated debris and screaming energy signatures. One moment a vessel. The next moment, atoms scattered across space, glowing like dying stars. Complete annihilation, absolute, total, perfect. The council chamber was dead silent except for someone quietly weeping. Then we waited. 2 hours passed like 2 years. The human ship just floated there, weapons still deployed, silent and patient, waiting. Finally another message came through. Threat neutralized. Assessing situation. Do not approach. We are very disappointed. Disappointed. The humans were disappointed in us. Ambassador Vrel looked directly into the camera, her expression grim as death. Send a message to every human archive ship immediately. All of them. Apologize. Explain what happened. Make it very clear this was not sanctioned by any government. And pray to whatever gods you believe in that they understand. I helped write that message. Hardest thing I ever did. How do you apologize for another species breaking the one rule everyone agreed on? How do you convince someone you are not complicit when you fail to stop it? We sent it. Then we waited. 1 hour, 2 hours, 6 hours. No response. The human ship Mercy just stayed there, weapons ready, watching, silent. That was when the real terror settled in. Because we realized the humans were not going back to sleep. They were awake, they were armed, and they were deciding what to do about all of us. The galaxy held its breath. And me? I was just some nobody who counted boxes for a living. Now I was watching the beginning of something that might end every civilization we had ever built. The humans were awake. They were disappointed. And somewhere out there in the dark, 999 other archive ships were starting to receive the same wake-up call. Gods help us all. 12 hours after the Kralix got turned into cosmic dust, I still had not slept. Neither had anyone else. On Station Gamma. Neither had most of the galaxy, probably. We were all glued to our screens, watching the human archive ship Mercy float in space like a loaded weapon, pointed at everyone simultaneously. The silence from the humans was somehow worse than if they had just started shooting. Ambassador Vrel had sent our apology message 6 hours ago, detailed explanation of events, multiple assurances that the Kralix acted alone, formal condemnation from every major government, basically every variation of "please do not kill us all" we could think of. Nothing. Radio silence. The humans were awake and they were thinking, and that terrified everyone more than their weapons did. Telmon was pacing a hole in my floor. They have to respond eventually, right? They cannot just sit there forever. They can do whatever they want, I said, drinking my 5th cup of coffee. It tasted like burnt regret. They have the biggest guns. What if they decide we are all guilty? What if they think we are all like the Kralix? I did not answer because I was thinking the same thing. Humans had nearly exterminated themselves once. What was stopping them from deciding the galaxy would be better off empty? My console beeped. Incoming transmission. Source: Human Archive. Ship: Mercy. I nearly threw my coffee across the room. Telmon. Telmon, they responded. He was at my shoulder in half a second. We both stared at the screen, afraid to open it. Finally, with shaking hands, I activated the message. A face appeared. Human. Female. Dark skin. Grey hair pulled back tight. Eyes that looked like they had seen things that would break most species. She wore a uniform, dark blue with insignia I did not recognize. Behind her, I could see other humans moving around what looked like a command center. All of them awake. All of them working. When she spoke, her voice was calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that comes right before a storm tears your house apart. This is Captain Amara Williams of the Human Defense Archive ship Mercy. We have received your messages. All 8,473 of them. We have reviewed your apologies. We have verified your claims that the Kralix acted independently. We have also accessed your public networks and read 3 centuries of your history since we went to sleep. She paused, and I swear her eyes looked directly through the camera into my soul. We are not impressed. Telmon made a small whimpering sound. I did not blame him, Captain Williams continued. For 300 years, you left us alone. We appreciate that. It shows wisdom. But the fact that one species felt confident enough to attack us suggests your treaties are decorative rather than functional. Your security is inadequate. Your enforcement is non-existent. And your intelligence networks apparently cannot prevent one warship from starting a galactic incident. She leaned forward slightly. So here is what is going to happen. We are going to wake up the other ships. All 999 of them. We are going to assess this galaxy properly. And we are going to decide whether we want to participate in your civilization or avoid it entirely. This will take time. During this time, no one approaches human ships. No one contacts us unless we contact you first. And if anyone at all, displays hostility toward any human vessel, we will respond with extreme prejudice. Are we clear? The transmission ended. Telmon and I looked at each other. That could have gone worse, I said weakly. How? How could that have gone worse? They could be shooting at us right now instead of just threatening to shoot at us later. He did not look convinced. Within minutes, Captain Williams's message was broadcasting across every channel in the galaxy. The response was predictable. Mass panic. Some governments immediately declared human ships off limits. Others started mobilizing military fleets, which was possibly the stupidest and response available. The Galactic Council convened another emergency session because apparently they enjoyed stress-induced cardiac events. I watched the meeting from my station, surrounded by empty coffee cups and the certainty that my quiet life was permanently over. Ambassador Vrel was speaking, her voice cutting through the chaos. We need to be very clear about our position. The humans are not our enemies. They are traumatized survivors who we accidentally provoked. Our goal is to convince them we are worth coexisting with. A delegate from some species I did not recognize stood up. They threatened us. They said they would respond with extreme prejudice. They said they would respond to hostility, Vrel corrected. Which is reasonable. Someone just tried to rob them in their sleep. They are being remarkably restrained, all things considered. Restrained. They destroyed a battlecruiser in less than a minute. Yes, and they stopped there instead of continuing to destroy things. That is restraint. The delegate sat down, looking unconvinced but lacking a counter-argument. Pluthan, the starfish ambassador, raised several appendages. What about the Kralix? They started this. What are we doing about them? Vrel's expression went cold. The Kralix Dominion has already issued a statement. They claim Thrakor acted without authorization. They are condemning his actions and offering full reparations to the human vessels. Do we believe them? Does it matter? The Kralix just learned what happens when you wake the humans. I suspect their aggressive expansion is about to slow down considerably. She was right. Within 24 hours, the Kralix withdrew from 6 disputed territories and dissolved 3 military fleets. Turns out nothing inspires pacifism quite like watching your battlecruiser get converted to particles. But the bigger story was the humans themselves. Over the next week, all 1,000 archive ships began waking up. Not just military vessels like Mercy, science ships, colony ships, cultural preservation vessels, manufacturing platforms. Every type of ship humanity had built before putting themselves to sleep. 10 million humans, waking up in a galaxy that had changed without them. We got updates through monitoring satellites and long-range sensors. The ships were converging, forming a loose fleet in neutral space. They were communicating with each other, sharing information, coordinating, and they were scanning everything. Every planet, every station, every vessel within a dozen light years, gathering data with the efficiency of a species that trusted nothing and no one. I found myself obsessively following the news. Every species was reporting on the humans, what they were doing, what they might do next. Speculation ranged from they will leave peacefully to they will sterilize the galaxy as a precaution. Nobody knew. The humans were not talking to us, just to each other. Then, 3 weeks after Mercy woke up, something changed. A human ship entered the Voltex system. Not a military vessel. A small civilian transport, maybe 50 people aboard. It approached Valtex Prime, the system's major trading hub, and requested docking permission. The station administrator, a Torvan named Kralix who I had met once at a conference, nearly had a breakdown. Grant permission and risk angering them if something went wrong. Deny permission and definitely anger them. He approved the docking, and probably spent the next hour updating his will. The humans came aboard, led by a man named Marcus Webb, who introduced himself as a civilian liaison. He was tall, dark hair starting to grey, and had this disarming smile that somehow made you forget his species could crack planets if they felt motivated. Kralix's report, which got distributed to every government within hours, described the meeting. The humans wanted to trade. They had technology to offer, resources they had synthesized during their long sleep, and they wanted to establish peaceful commerce. They were polite, professional, normal. It was almost disappointing how normal they were. More human ships started visiting stations, always small groups, always civilian vessels, always following protocols perfectly. They traded fairly. They did not make threats. They asked questions about local cultures and actually listened to the answers. They were curious about what the galaxy had become while they slept. Slowly, very slowly, the panic started to fade. Maybe the humans were not going to murder everyone. Maybe they just wanted to exist peacefully. Maybe we had been terrified over nothing. That was when the second incident happened. A mining operation in the Korvax belt detected unusual energy signatures near one of their facilities. When they investigated, they found a human science vessel conducting scans of the asteroids. The mining company, a corporation called Drell Industries with more greed than sense, sent security ships to force the humans away, claimed they were violating territorial boundaries. The human ship tried to explain they were in neutral space conducting harmless research. The security ships opened fire anyway. I found out about it the same way everyone else did. Emergency broadcast. Video footage from a mining drone. I watched a human science vessel, unarmed and unshielded, take multiple hits from plasma cannons. Watched it start venting atmosphere. Watched it list sideways, engines failing. Then I watched 15 human military ships drop out of faster-than-light travel simultaneously. They did not fire immediately. Instead, a transmission went out on all frequencies. A calm voice, almost polite. You have attacked a civilian research vessel in neutral space. You have 15 seconds to power down your weapons and retreat. Failure to comply will result in defensive action. The security ships, piloted by morons apparently related to Thrakor, fired again. What happened next was clinical. Precise. The human military ships disabled every security vessel in 40 seconds. Not destroyed, disabled, knocked out weapons and engines, left life support intact. Then they rescued their damaged science ship and withdrew. No revenge killings, no escalation. Just measured, proportional response. Drell Industries issued an apology so fast they probably injured themselves typing it. The Galactic Council officially sanctioned them for unprovoked aggression, and the rest of the galaxy learned another lesson. The humans were not looking for fights, but they would absolutely finish them. After that, things stabilized. The humans established an embassy on Valtex Prime. They opened trade negotiations with 24 species. They shared some technology, carefully selected stuff that would not destabilize existing power structures. Medical advances, environmental restoration techniques, agricultural improvements, things that helped rather than threatened. They were integrating, carefully, slowly, but integrating. I finally met a human 6 months after Mercy woke up. Her name was Lisa Okonkwo, and she was a trade liaison visiting Station Gamma to discuss logistics contracts. She was short, had laugh lines around her eyes, and seemed genuinely delighted by our terrible coffee. "This is awful," she said cheerfully, taking another sip. "I love it. Reminds me of truck stop coffee back on Earth." I had no idea what a truck stop was, but I appreciated the sentiment. "So," I said carefully, "how are you adjusting to being awake again?" She considered the question. "It is strange. We went to sleep running from what we had become, woke up in a galaxy that left us alone out of fear. Now we are trying to figure out who we are when we are not either destroying ourselves or being avoided. And who are you?" She smiled. "Still figuring that out. But we are trying to be better than we were. That is the goal, anyway. Be the species we wished we had been, before everything fell apart." We talked for an hour, about trade routes and shipping schedules and the price of manufactured goods. Normal stuff, boring stuff. The kind of conversation that suggested maybe the galaxy was not ending after all. As she left, she paused at the door. "Veko, can I tell you something?" "Sure." "When we woke up, when we saw that Kralix ship coming, we were terrified. Not of them, of ourselves. We were afraid we would overreact, that we would be what everyone feared. But we chose to be measured instead. We chose to be better, and it feels good. Being better feels really good." She left, and I sat there thinking about that, about a species so dangerous they put themselves to sleep, waking up and choosing peace, choosing restraint, choosing to be better than their history. The Kralix never recovered their former power. Too many species stopped respecting them after they woke the humans. Their dominion collapsed within 5 years. Thrakor went down in history as the idiot who broke the galaxy's most important rule and somehow survived with only his pride destroyed. The humans? They thrived, built new colonies, formed alliances, contributed to galactic culture in ways nobody expected. They were artists and scientists and teachers and engineers. They were dangerous when threatened, but peaceful when left alone. They became exactly what they wanted to be. And me? I kept counting boxes at Station Gamma, kept drinking terrible coffee and doing inventory. But now I had stories to tell. Stories about the day the galaxy nearly ended, about the species that chose to be better, about how sometimes the scariest thing in the universe is not the monster itself, but the choice of whether to be one. The humans made their choice. They chose to wake up and be better than they were. And honestly, the galaxy was better for it. I still see Lisa sometimes when she visits the station. We drink awful coffee and talk about boring logistics, and every time I am grateful. Grateful the Kralix were stupid enough to wake the humans. Grateful the humans were wise enough to show restraint. Grateful to be alive in a galaxy that figured out how to coexist with the most dangerous species it had ever known. Because the universe had one rule: do not wake the humans. Someone broke it. And somehow, against all odds, we all survived. The humans made sure of that.